So I'm here with some folks in the NKU EdD program, and we're going to ask them some questions about their experiences writing their dissertations. But before we begin, let's do some quick introductions and just go around the room and get to know you.
Hi, I'm Carolyn No, Dr. Carolyn No now. I am a Senior Director of PK-12 programs at the Institute for Health Innovation at Northern Kentucky University. And then on the side, I am the founder and president of Superheroines, Etc., a nonprofit organization that works on equity in fandom.
Awesome. And I am Dr. Amanda Bell. I'm a regional special education consultant through NKCES, our regional cooperative that supports all our local teachers.
I'm Alicia Whitmer. I am the elementary assistant principal for Beechwood Independent Schools.
Good morning. My name is Rami Leventhal, Dr. Rami Leventhal. I'm the manager of clinical simulation operations at Northern Kentucky University.
Good morning. I'm Dr. Lee Samathi. I served as faculty advisor on this program. And in my other life, I am the founder of Mind Money Method, a financial wellness organization.
And hi, I am Dr. Missy Jones, professor emeritus at Northern Kentucky University.
Perfect. So let's just go ahead and jump in, and anybody can jump in if they would like to. So the first question is, when you reflect on your leadership scholar community experience as a group, what were the pivotal moments where ambiguity felt the most intense, and how did you navigate those moments?
Anytime we would run up against the requirements of the program, especially if there were particular things that we needed to do in order for our dissertations to make it through the system, essentially. Like, I designed a game. So my game is an appendix, even though it is essentially a major part of my dissertation. And then I also wrote a whole article to go along with it. And so having to fit that the game into the appendix rather than as part of what I was submitting as my main section of my dissertation felt strange, because it was supposed to be my dissertation. And trying to figure out what that was going to look like. Was it going to be in the appendix? Was I going to put the rules in as part of my dissertation? Like, anything where I had to fit inside of a box felt the most challenging.
Next question. Several of you used metaphors like, quote, building a plane while flying it, end quote, and, quote, square peg in a round hole, end quote. Can you talk about when these phrases first emerged in your conversations and what they captured about your shared experience?
There were a lot of things that we didn't feel like we had the recipe or the blueprint or the template or whatever to fit in all of our things. So we just kept trying to make it fit. Like Carolyn said with her game, did it fit best in the appendix? With my curriculum that I published, where did pieces of it fit in? There wasn't a blueprint. There wasn't a recipe. So that was definitely a challenge for us. But as we were in our little committee meetings and talking about ideas that everybody had, it was can we do this? Sure, probably. I think we can. We don't have a recipe to follow, but we can probably make it happen. And then every time that those conversations happened, another metaphor emerged somehow.
Yeah. Next question is, how did the group dynamic help or hinder your individual processes?
For me, the group dynamic was everything. Because I am doing a traditional 5-chapter dissertation, but that ended up being the complete minority. So every single person doing a different path, we were all just very, I know Amanda talked about building the plane, but everyone has just taken on the mindset of like, we're in this together. So if I had questions, I could still throw it to the group. Anybody that had questions, they'd throw it to the group. Everybody's doing something different. So why don't we just work together?
Yeah. And I'm curious, you said you did the traditional route.
I did.
How did that how did that influence how you viewed their process? Because they may have been a little more ambiguous.
We all still have the same components. So when we're using this language of the different aspects going in, like the literature or our frameworks, we're still coming from the same place. I feel like I use a tree for every kind of metaphor. Like we're all rooted in the same thing, but everybody's growing into something different, and we're going to get there. And one day we are all going to get there. But it's almost like makes you feel more comfortable because everybody's figuring it out together.
Right. Shared goal in a sense.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Next question is, looking back, what unofficial rules or approaches did you develop together that helped you move forward despite that uncertainty that you felt?
Yeah, I love that question because we never established a set of rules. It's just over time we developed behavior that I thought was really unique to our group. One of the things I remember the most is we actively listened to everybody's pain. So every time we met, we went around the room. Okay, what is your pain today? What struggles are you going through? And just hearing everybody's growing pains, it helped each other. So we could figure out, okay, we're figuring this out together. Another unofficial rule is from our leadership, like, we don't have the answers, but we'll figure it out together. So we knew we could ask anything or address any issue, and it won't be met with, well, this is how it's supposed to be, and that's just that. So even though there were strict rules of how a dissertation should look, we, with our leadership and our team, navigated those waters with our unofficial rules. Like, yeah, we know these are very strict rules, but we'll figure it out together. I cannot imagine going through this alone. There's no way.
If you don't care if I jump in, I love listening to you say that because this group is more than like the roles part also was outside of like meeting. Like you think about class time. We had our LSC meetings once a week. We had Zoom calls, but it also bled into more to where like we talk all the time. And it literally just became woven into, you could throw out some really intricate question in a group meet about something on your dissertation. And for a lot of people, that is just not normal. And that's so normal because of the way that we made these unofficial rules, I guess.
Right. It led to like a level of camaraderie between all y'all. Yeah. Awesome. So with that, one person had noted that realizing, quote, ambiguity builds leadership, which led to like this collective yes. Can you recreate that moment and what was happeing in that conversation that led to that sort of insight?
I think that was my fault. But when we were going through the struggles and all the ambiguity, I think me and the group came to a realization that leadership is an ambiguous role. Nobody gives you a manual. Here's how to lead. Here's how you become a leader. There is no such thing. So dealing with all the unknowns and uncertain waters, it really helped us figure out that, okay, this is what leadership looks like. We have to figure things out on our own. We have to take charge of certain things that nobody's telling us how to. I think once we discussed it as a group, we realized like, yeah, this is maybe important part of this process. It's not, of course, we're bashing the ambiguity in some way in this discussion in the paper, but it did build character. It made us tougher. It did.
And it was really a full circle moment, like, because our very first class in the EdD program, our first discussion was, how do you define leadership?
Yeah.
And we were all like, I don't know. And now here we are, like, as leaders in our own worlds, our own realms of work and being successful. And we're okay with still not really being able to define leadership.
Yeah.
And part of being okay with that is being okay with the ambiguity.
I can remember when we had that conversation and it was like that aha moment and almost a collective sigh of relief because of, all the stress we'd be feeling this is supposed to happen. Like this, oh, okay, I can do this now. And I did it, and I feel good about it, and I'm better for it. And I just remember this whole, the barometric pressure changed in the room at that moment when we had this realization that ambiguity, stress, uncertainty is a cornerstone or a building block for who we are today.
Yeah.
Okay, now we know that this happened and we think we're okay with it because we're still kind of working through it. Now what do we do? Like, now let's write this article. Now let's record a podcast. Let's do something with it. Well, how do we do that? Nobody knows. Let's do it with ambiguity.
Right.
It's fine.
I'm still dealing with ambiguity right now.
Yeah. Yeah, I like that. Okay, so last question here before we pivot to some different questions. This one's for the faculty members. What surprised you most about supporting this group compared to traditional dissertation cohorts, and what specifically did you learn in that?
I don't know that it's so much surprise, but just maybe respect that they ended up being very flexible and very open and absolutely not hesitant to say, I think this, let's try this. I came from a cohort where we all did the traditional 5. It had its own challenges, and we were looking to the committee members, of course, for direction, and we still ended up figuring out, how do we ask what if? How do we push our own boundaries? Because in the end, the dissertation creator is the one who owns it and has to defend it. So I did see a lot of flexibility, and I think you were just talking about that, Amanda. But it's just a great growth area and necessary for leadership for all the reasons that you said.
I think if you go back and listen to everything that everybody's said so far, I agree with Lisa. I wasn't really surprised. It was more of a recognition and a growing value for the collaborative nature of the group. They needed one another. They were all in a situation where nobody had the answers, including the people that are supposed to have the answers. I at least in the past, we thought they were supposed to have the answers. I don't think so anymore. But so that was a big learning for me, that the answers should be negotiated collectively. There should be collaborative component, that there are people in the room who didn't have a doctorate degree yet, or who offered so much insight and thought further than anything I could think of. There was so much creativity that went on with the group. And because of the discussions, I think what came out for everybody, the final result was better because of the collective minds of the group.
Well, thank you all for that section. For this section of questions, if you don't care, go around and answer each of these, because I'd like to hear your thoughts. The first one is, as a group, what do you wish you had known at the beginning of this process? And what would you tell that next cohort attempting creative dissertations in practice?
Yeah, I thought a lot about this question. I think what I wish I had known is that I thought there was a roadmap, because we had been told, you can do something creative. I thought that there was going to be.
That's my fault. Sorry.
That's okay.
That's all right.
And I don't think it's entirely your fault, because other people had done like a podcast before. And so I think, going into it, I thought there's going to be some amount of direction, and there was a direction, but there were not a lot of examples of what we had done before. And I think it actually probably would have been helpful to know that none of this really existed prior, so that when we were asking, what am I supposed to do next? What should I do? That there weren't actually answers, and that we were figuring out those answers as we went along. And then for the next cohort attempting these, I would let them know that. I mean, I think we're hopeful that we will make change so that there is more guidance for people who want to do these creative dissertations. But until that's ready, I think it's really important that they know, like, we are going to collectively come up with the answer.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's hard to follow that, Carolyn. I think you said everything. Although, like, in this, 6 months after I defended kind of space that I'm in, I'm really grateful that I didn't know those things because I am a fan of that productive struggle, and that I think I learned more not knowing than maybe I would have if it had all been there. But yeah, I want it to be there for people, but I also want them to have to struggle a little too, I think. I don't know. As far as like thinking about future cohorts and creative processes, I say go for it. If you've got a problem that you see needs to be solved and you want to present a solution, do it. And then we'll make it fit.
Yeah.
I would say, oh goodness, what do I wish I would have known? But we were told. We just didn't, I feel like I didn't want to believe it, was it's okay to have no idea. It's okay. I feel like we kept hearing like, it'll come. Which we're in a doctorate program. We came in like already in leadership roles, already having other degrees. So it feels weird to be the person that's like, I don't know what I'm doing. And that's how it works.
I wish I knew that the uncharted waters are okay. And I think this is exactly why we're doing this, to have that messaging. So that's what I wish I did have, or maybe future cohorts have, that we want you to do something that hasn't been done before. That's the whole idea of a doctoral program, right? Do something new, different, challenge the status quo.
Right.
And we did receive that messaging, but it'd be nice to have some messaging like this to say, hey, none of us know the answers, and it's okay. Like, figure it out with the people around you. Because really, if you think about change doesn't come from everything we know. Change comes from stuff we don't know. So just having that messaging from the get-go, I think, could be helpful to future cohorts.
Yeah.
I would like for people to go into these things knowing that it's a great opportunity. It's a lot of stress, and they should just lean into it. It is where the growth happens.
Yeah, I take Carolyn's comment to heart, really thinking about how we can help prepare people for the ambiguity that's coming. I'm okay that I didn't know it before, but this is such a fantastic group, and they gelled so well that was learning. It was huge learning for me, and that wouldn't have happened without such great support from the group as well. But I think really, I agree with Amanda. Absolutely, the process is necessary, and I think, but we need to tell people that that's what the process is going to be. They may not be ready to hear it, right? That's the case too. That happens often. But to really say, this is going to be uncomfortable. You're going to have lots of questions that we don't have answers for, but we will figure it out together, and really try to solidify that idea of the Leader Scholarship community. I think that's going to be key. If we're going to move forward, if anybody's going to really try to do dissertations in practice, it is not a solitary endeavor.
It requires that interdependence.
There is an interdependence with it. Yeah. Absolutely.
Okay. So next question with that, how has this experience changed the way you think about academic rigor? And as a result of that, how did your definition of scholarly work evolve through the process and experiencing it?
Prior to being part of this program, prior to this particular experience, I was intimidated by the idea of the dissertation. But before I started, I actually had a conversation with Missy about my interest in games and how it affects society. And she was just so excited and enthusiastic about the idea of like, what could we do with games? And at that point, I wasn't even thinking about making a game. I was just like, how do we research games? And then for it to evolve through the process of working with all these really wonderful people, like Rami helped me create the first draft of the game and helped me through some iterations of it. I think that the way it changed for me is that, humanity is vast and varied and different and diverse. And so our scholarly work can reflect that. But also that scholarly work can be collaborative and we can rely on each other. So even if, Rami's name isn't on my dissertation with me, he's there in the work, right? And all of these people are there in the work because they were cheerleaders or they gave ideas or they gave suggestions and they helped me format my paper. Everyone was there in the process. And honestly, every scholarly work I've done since this dissertation has been collaborative.
Mm-hmm.
Before I started this program, I thought scholarly work was articles that had all of the right vocabulary in them. I could define every theory. I could pronounce hegemony, which now I can. But that's what I thought scholarly work was, right? And my curriculum probably has the least amount of those vocabulary words and the theoretical things in them because I needed to make it immediately implementable for teachers who are in the classroom doing the work every day. And so I actually took a lot of those words out and said, here's what you need to know. Here's the simplest way I can give it to you. Here's how you can try these things with kids in real time. And especially for teachers working with students with extensive support needs, we need it to be simple. We need to just be able to get in there and do the things. So my definition completely changed from needing the vocabulary and the terminology to let's just solve the problem and make it happen.
Yeah.
My look at academic rigor really made me realize that it's much, for me, more in my perception of the rigor and maybe not the academics. I was a kindergarten teacher when I started the program. I live in the K-12 world and mainly primary and elementary. But the process and the problem solving and the ambiguity and the learning was much more than what we were actually learning. Obviously, all very important, and I can't even put into words everything we learned through the program, but then coming in and putting it into practice in the process is so many of the skills that I want my young learners in my other world to do. And it's that kind of stuff isn't really talked about in the K-12 world. A lot of people don't get their doctorate, but it's so much, the rigor to me came from just this new way of thinking and being exposed to people and things that you don't experience every day. And then being able to take it back and apply it.
Yeah.
So that's truly the definition of a dissertation in practice,
Yes.
right?
Yeah. And then scholarly work, gosh, for me, that was such a different world. And so I felt like I was really at learning from nothing. And then how can I use that in a world that does not necessarily use it every day, which I do, which is so cool because just the way I think about my full-time work is so different than when I started.
Yeah.
I think it's a interesting contrast between dissertation and practice and academic rigor and scholarly work because all throughout undergrad and grad school, you're conditioned. Everything has to be scholarly. Every paper, every edit, every resource. And then we put ourselves in situations, well, the work I'm doing that I think is important and actionable is not scholarly. It's not scholarly. And how do we fit it into the academic rigor and scholarly requirements of this program? So I feel, at least for me, it was a constant battle between the two. I do agree that academic rigor is required and necessary. You can't just go about without it. But finding, a bridge between scholarly work and practice actually makes positive change and the work we've done and doing. It'd be nice if we can have a better understanding that they can coexist. Because I think a lot of programs and some along the way, some of the challenges we faced was like, well, if it's not scholarly, it doesn't count. And that just makes you angry because yes, it does count. It does matter. So we need to stop fighting uphill that, oh, well, it's so important, but it's the academic world's not going to accept it. And that's what we did in this program is make it fit. And like Carolyn explained before, the work we've worked on for 3 years ended up as an appendix in the dissertation. It's kind of disheartening, but it's necessary.
Yeah.
But maybe not moving forward. That's just
Maybe
where we
not.
were. Sorry.
My idea of rigor has changed greatly. And like you said, it's everything that goes into it is about the rigor, the research, all of the things. But for me, I've come to realize that it's the delivery system. It doesn't challenge the rigor at all. It's just how it gets to the people that it needs to get to. Like you said, dissertation and practice has to reach the people and make a difference and make some changes. So it's all about how it gets to the people. And there are a lot of ways that people learn, a lot of ways that people understand. So having all these different delivery systems, I think, is vitally important.
Yeah.
I would echo that completely. It's exactly what I was going to say, that scholarship shouldn't mean inaccessible.
Anytime somebody came to the table with a question, somebody questioned back, who's your audience? And that's exactly what you guys are talking about, is remembering who that connection is supposed to be with, the delivery method of it. We kept going back to, well, who's your audience?
Right.
And speaking of the sort of inaccessibility, this for the last question for you all, what systemic or institutional barriers did you encounter as a group, and which ones do you think are necessary versus which are simply artifacts of tradition?
None are necessary.
No.
Say it. I'm sorry, Carolyn.
I was going to be diplomatic about it.
No, there's no need to be.
But
They're not necessary.
They're arbitrary. I think the only barriers we really encountered were the systemic and institutional. We talked about meaningful work in our document and about how you define meaningful work. And there were 35 definitions that have been used in scholarship. And so I chose one that really fit with us, but I think that really speaks to like your scholarly work can look like anything. And for it to fit in this box, those are the barriers, right? Like I could have just submitted this game that I put my heart and soul into and that I spent months, even years, like refining and changing. And maybe that could have been the dissertation. I mean, I enjoyed doing my research. I liked meeting the people. I liked learning more about the impact it had. But could I have spent more time making it a really great version of the game instead, and that have been my dissertation? We won't know until the next group comes in and starts doing something creative. I think APA is a barrier. There are a lot of things we cited that there's no instructions on how to cite it. Like we just made it up, honestly. And I think that the formatting that we use at this institution is also a barrier. Like if I take my work to the writing center and they can't help me format it, that is a problem. Like that's our institutional resource to help us do this and they can't help us. So every barrier we encountered was some sort of institutional barrier. And I don't think that they were put there to be barriers. I think they were put there to help us figure things out. But now that we've gone through this process, I think we see that there are ways that we could make change.
Yeah, because all of those things are part of that blueprint that exists for a different dissertation. So things like font size and margins and page numbers, those are the things that nobody can help with because our technology keeps evolving, right? Like the difference in formatting something in Word and formatting it in Google Docs and then being able to save it as a PDF and have the right file size to upload somewhere. All of those little bitty things start with is it Times New Roman 12 font? Like,
Well, and you couldn't pick like the font and the style
Yeah.
for your curriculum. I used a dyslexic friendly font
Yep.
in my game, but I couldn't write my dissertation in a dyslexic friendly font. I mean,
yeah.
Like, who decided that whether I do it this way or that way makes it meaningful, let alone going down the path of information should be accessible and it's not. That I'm going to upload a dissertation that most of the world won't be able to access, probably behind a paid wall. But I don't know, like this group is just like another quote that I love is like, you play the game to win the game sometimes. And so we have started to play a little bit of the game to eventually win the game. That if you are truly doing a dissertation in practice and we are solving real world problems, you got to do what's best. And sometimes doing what's best doesn't follow rules.
Right.
Yeah, and playing the game was a perfect analogy.
Look at us with more metaphors.
Carolyn described my journey with the Writing Center and me coming to her office like, can you figure this out? More than once or twice. But, I don't want to knock this institution specifically, but these rules of the game are extremely outdated. They're at least 20 years old. And to me, the difficult part is all this hard work and meaningful work. We play the game. So at the end of the day, the certain someone at the very, very top is going to decide if it's worthy based on a margin or a page number.
Thank you all for sitting down and answering these questions. It was a privilege to be here.